Her hand found his throat before he could reach for his gun. 6 feet 4 inches of wounded fury pinned Jacob McAllister against his own barn wall. Blood dripped from her shoulder onto his shirt. Her black eyes burned with something between rage and terror. "You will not take me back," she hissed. "I will kill you first." Jacob didn't fight. He just looked at her, really looked, and said the words that would change both their lives forever. "I ain't here to take you anywhere, ma'am. I'm here to ask if you're hungry." Before we ride deeper into this story, I'd be mighty grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel and stay with me till the very end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love knowing how far these tales travel across this beautiful country of ours. Now let's get back to Jacob and the woman who was about to turn his whole world upside down. The winter of 1876 came early to Wyoming territory, and it came mean. Jacob McAllister had lived through plenty of hard winters. He'd survived the war, survived losing his wife and daughter to the fever, survived 5 years of nothing but his own company on this godforsaken ranch. But something about this particular December felt different, heavier, like the sky itself was warning him. He should have listened. The storm hit around supper time. 1 minute the wind was just wind. The next it was a living thing, howling, clawing, trying to rip the roof right off his cabin. Jacob pulled on his coat and grabbed the lantern. The horses needed checking, and he'd be damned if he lost them to a blizzard. That's when he heard it. Not the wind, not the horses. Something else. A sound that made him stop dead in his tracks, one hand on the barn door. A moan. Low. Pained. Human. Jacob pushed open the door. The lantern light swung wild, casting shadows across the hay bales and wooden beams. And there in the far corner, half buried in straw and blood, a woman. No, not just a woman. A giant. She was the biggest female he'd ever seen, shoulders as wide as 2 axe handles, arms thick with muscle even through her torn dress, and tall. Lord Almighty, she had to be 6'4" at least, maybe more. Her black hair was matted with ice and blood, and her brown skin was covered in welts and bruises. She looked up. Her eyes hit him like a punch to the gut. Black as obsidian, sharp as a blade, and filled with more pain than any one person should carry. Before Jacob could say a word, she moved. Fast. Faster than something her size should move. 1 second she was on the ground. The next her hand was around his throat and his back was against the wall. "You will not take me back." Her voice was raw, broken from screaming or cold or both. "I will kill you first." The lantern clattered to the ground, but didn't go out. In its flickering light, Jacob saw everything. The rope burns on her wrists, the whip marks on her shoulders, the desperate animal terror in her eyes. He'd seen that look before, on soldiers about to die, on men who'd lost everything and had nothing left to lose. He didn't reach for his gun, didn't try to fight, just met her eyes and kept his voice steady. "I ain't here to take you anywhere, ma'am. I'm here to ask if you're hungry." She didn't move. Her grip on his throat didn't loosen. "You're lying," she said. "No, ma'am, I ain't. You're bleeding all over my barn floor, and that there wound on your shoulder looks like it needs tending." He paused. "Also, you're letting all the cold air in, and my horses don't appreciate it." Something flickered in her eyes. Confusion, maybe. Like she didn't know what to do with a man who wasn't afraid of her. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you help me?" "Because you're hurt. Because you're cold." Jacob shrugged as much as a man could shrug with a hand around his throat. "Because it's the decent thing to do." Decent. She said the word like it was foreign, like she'd forgotten what it meant. "Yes, ma'am, decent." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The wind screamed outside. The lantern flame danced. And then slowly, her fingers loosened. She didn't let go. but she wasn't choking him anymore. "If you try anything," she said, "I will snap your neck like a dry branch." "I believe you," Jacob said, and he meant it. Her name was Ayasha. She didn't tell him that first night. First night she barely spoke at all. Just sat in the corner of his cabin, wrapped in every blanket he owned, watching him like a hawk watching a snake. Jacob gave her space, made coffee, heated up some leftover stew, set a bowl on the floor between them and backed away. "Eat if you want. Don't if you don't. But that wound needs cleaning and I've got supplies." She looked at the bowl, looked at him, then slowly reached for the food. She ate like someone who hadn't eaten in days, maybe weeks, hands shaking, eyes never leaving his face. Jacob sat in his chair by the fire and didn't say a word, didn't ask questions, didn't push. Just let her eat in peace. When she finished, she set the bowl down and finally spoke. "You are not afraid of me." It wasn't a question. "No, ma'am." "Why?" Jacob considered the question. "I've seen a lot of scary things in my life. War, death, losing people I loved." He looked at her. "You ain't scary. You're hurt. There's a difference." She stared at him for a long time. Then she said something that surprised them both. "I am Cheyenne, Northern Cheyenne. My people—" She stopped, swallowed. "My people are gone." Jacob nodded. He'd heard about what happened after Little Bighorn, the army's retaliation, the raids, the forced marches. He didn't say he was sorry. Sorry was a useless word. Instead, he said, "I'm Jacob McAllister. This is my land. You can stay as long as you need." "Why?" she asked again, like she couldn't understand. Like kindness was a language she'd forgotten how to speak. "Because no one should die alone in a blizzard," Jacob said. "And because—" He stopped, started again. "Because I've been alone a long time, maybe too long. Having someone to make coffee for. It ain't the worst thing." Ayasha looked at him with those black eyes, and for the first time, the hardness in them cracked, just a little, just enough to show something softer underneath. "You are strange," she said. "So I've been told." "Stupid too. I could kill you in your sleep." "Probably." Jacob shrugged. "But you won't." "How do you know?" He met her eyes. "Because if you wanted me dead, I'd already be dead. And because—" He paused. "Because you're tired, ma'am. I can see it. You're tired of running, tired of fighting, tired of being alone." He looked at the fire. "I know that feeling. Know it real well." Silence. Long and heavy. Then Ayasha said so quiet he almost missed it. "Yes, I am tired." That was the first night. By the third day, the storm still hadn't let up. Jacob had never seen weather like this. Snow piled up past the windows. The cold crept through every crack in the walls. The world outside had become a white nothing, erasing everything but the cabin and the two people inside it. Ayasha's wound was healing. She was strong, stronger than anyone Jacob had ever met. What would have put a normal person down for weeks, she shook off in days. But she was still weak from whatever had happened to her before she stumbled onto his land. She didn't talk about it, not directly. But at night she would cry out in her sleep, scream things in Cheyenne that Jacob didn't understand, but felt in his bones anyway. Pain, terror, rage. He never asked, never pushed, just made sure there was coffee when she woke up, and food when she was hungry, and silence when she needed it. On the third morning, she finally broke. Why? She was standing by the window looking out at the white nothing. Her back was to him, but he could see her hands shaking. "Why do you not ask? Ask what? What happened to me? How I came to be in your barn? Who hurt me?" She turned. Her eyes were wet. "Everyone asks. Everyone wants to know. So they can judge. So they can say I deserved it." Jacob set down his coffee cup. Did you deserve it? No. Then I don't need to know. He stood up, walked toward her. Slowly, giving her time to back away if she wanted. She didn't. Whatever happened, he said, it don't change who you are now, and who you are now is a woman standing in my cabin drinking my coffee trying to figure out if she can trust me. He stopped an arm's length away. So here's what I know: you're strong. Stronger than anyone I've ever met. You survived something terrible, and you're still here. That's enough for me. A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away angrily, like it had betrayed her. You do not understand, she said. I was they. She couldn't finish. You don't have to say it. But I want to. Her voice broke. I want someone to know, to really know, and not look at me like I am nothing. Jacob took one more step, close enough to touch. He didn't. Then tell me, he said. And I swear to you on my wife's grave I will not look at you like you are nothing, because you ain't nothing, Ayasha. You're probably the most something person I've ever met. She laughed. A broken, wet sound. You do not even know me. I know enough. He held her gaze. I know you could have killed me that first night and didn't. I know you thank me every time I give you food, even though you try to hide it. I know you hate being weak, hate needing help, hate that you're crying right now. He paused. And I know that whatever they did to you, they didn't break you. They tried. Lord knows they tried. But you're still here, still fighting. Something in her face shattered. All the walls, all the armor, all the years of hardness she'd built up to survive. She told him everything. The soldiers had come in the middle of the night. Her village was small, peaceful. They'd had nothing to do with the war, nothing to do with Custer or his men. But that didn't matter. After Little Bighorn, every Cheyenne was guilty. Every native was the enemy. They killed her father first, shot him in the doorway of their lodge while he tried to protect her mother. They killed her mother second. Slower, crueler. Ayasha fought. God, how she fought. But there were too many. And she was only one woman, no matter how strong. They didn't kill her. She was too valuable, too unusual. A giant native woman. The men who dealt in human flesh would pay handsomely for something like that. So they bound her, beat her, sold her. 4 years. 4 years of being passed from hand to hand. 4 years of men who saw her as a thing, a curiosity, a freak to be displayed and used. 4 years of fighting and failing and being punished for fighting and fighting again anyway. 3 weeks ago she'd finally escaped. Killed the man who owned her. Took his horse. Rode until the horse died under her, then walked. Through snow. Through ice. Through hell itself. She didn't know where she was going. Just away. Just somewhere that wasn't there. And then the storm came. And then Jacob's barn. And then impossibly, inexplicably, kindness. I do not understand you, she said when she finished. Her face was wet with tears she'd stopped trying to hide. I have told you the worst of me. The weakness, the shame, and you just sit there. Jacob was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Can I tell you something? She nodded. I was married once. Her name was Sarah. We had a little girl, Emma. His voice was steady, but his eyes were far away. The fever took them both in the same week. I held my wife's hand while she died. Then I held my daughter's. Ayasha said nothing, just listened. After that I couldn't stay in Missouri. Too many memories, too many ghosts. So I came here, built this place, figured I'd just disappear. Stop being a person. Stop feeling anything. He looked at her. But then you showed up, bleeding in my barn, ready to kill me. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. And for the first time in 5 years I felt something. I don't know what, but something. What are you saying? Ayasha asked. I'm saying... He stopped, started again. I'm saying that whatever you survived, it didn't make you weak. It made you the strongest person I've ever met. And whatever shame you're carrying, you shouldn't be carrying it. The shame belongs to the men who hurt you, not you. You cannot know that. I know it, Jacob said firmly. And one day you'll know it too. She stared at him. This strange, stubborn, impossible man who looked at her like she was a person. Not a freak, not a victim, just a person. You are going to get yourself killed, she said finally. Helping me. When they come, and they will come, they will not show mercy. Let them come. You do not understand. Silas Cutter, the man I killed, he had brothers, partners. They have been hunting me for weeks. They will not stop. Let them come, Jacob repeated. He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. I spent 5 years hiding from the world, Ayasha. Hiding from life, from feeling, from everything. He looked up at her because she was taller, and he had to look up, and somehow that didn't make him seem small. Somehow it made him seem braver. I'm done hiding, he said. And if those men come for you, they'll have to go through me first. Why? Her voice was barely a whisper. Why would you do that for me? Jacob was quiet for a moment. Then he reached out slowly, carefully, giving her every chance to pull away, and took her hand. Her hand was twice the size of his. Calloused, scarred, strong enough to crush bone. He held it like it was precious. Because everyone deserves someone who'll fight for them, he said. And I reckon maybe you've been fighting alone long enough. That night, the storm finally broke. Ayasha stood on the porch looking up at the stars for the first time in days. The cold bit at her skin, but she barely felt it. She was too busy feeling something else, something she hadn't felt in 4 years. Hope. Behind her, the cabin door opened. Jacob's footsteps, the smell of coffee and wood smoke. You'll freeze out here, he said. I have survived worse. Wasn't questioning your survival skills. He came to stand beside her, just saying, it's cold. She looked down at him, this small, stubborn man who had somehow cracked open the locked box of her heart without even trying. You are a fool, Jacob McAllister, she said. So you've mentioned. I am too tall, too strong, too... She struggled for the word. Too much, for anyone, for any man. You're exactly the right amount, Jacob said quietly. For me. She felt her heart do something strange, something painful and wonderful all at once. You do not know what you are saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. He looked up at her, and in the starlight, his gray eyes were soft. I know that in 3 days you've made me feel more alive than I've felt in 5 years. I know that when you laugh, and you've only laughed once, but I remember it, it's the best sound I've ever heard. And I know that when those men come, and they will come, I would rather die protecting you than live another day alone. Jacob, I ain't asking for anything, he said quickly. I ain't expecting anything. He shook his head. I just wanted you to know. That's all. Ayasha looked at him for a long time. This impossible man, this fool who didn't know enough to be afraid of her. This gentle soul who held her hand like it was precious and looked at her like she was whole. She didn't say anything. She just reached down, cupped his face in her massive hands and kissed him. It was clumsy, awkward. She hadn't kissed anyone in years, and even then, it had never been like this. Never with someone who wanted her. Never with someone she wanted back. When she pulled away, Jacob was staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. Was that? She started to apologize, started to explain, started to build her walls back up. That, Jacob said slowly, was the best moment of my entire life. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Ayasha smiled, really smiled. You are definitely a fool, she said. The biggest fool in Wyoming territory, he agreed. And I wouldn't have it any other way. They stood there together on the porch, watching the stars wheel overhead. The cold didn't touch them. The darkness didn't matter. For the first time in years, neither of them was alone. But miles away in a saloon in Red Creek, a man with a scarred face was asking questions about a giant native woman. And the answers he was getting were leading him straight to Jacob McAllister's door. The kiss changed everything and nothing. Ayasha pulled away first, her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. She stepped back, then another step, creating distance because distance was safe. Distance was what she knew. "I should not have done that," she said. Jacob didn't move, didn't chase, just stood there with that steady look in his gray eyes. "Why not?" "Because," she struggled for words, "because I am not the kind of woman men want. Not really. Not for more than a night. Not for Che." "Stop." The word was quiet but firm. Jacob walked toward her, slowly, like approaching a wild horse. "You don't get to tell me what I want," he said. "I'm a grown man. I've buried a wife and a daughter and half the men I served with in the war. I know my own mind. You do not know me. Then help me know you." Ayasha felt something crack inside her chest. A wall she'd built brick by brick over 4 years of hell. She wanted to run, wanted to fight, wanted to do anything except stand here and let this man see her. "What do you want to know?" she heard herself say. Jacob sat down on the porch step, patted the space beside him. "Everything," he said. "Start wherever you want." She didn't sit, not yet, but she didn't run either. "My mother used to say I was born angry," Ayasha began. "I came out of her screaming, and I did not stop for 3 days. The medicine woman said I had the spirit of a warrior. My father said I had the spirit of a thunderstorm." A ghost of a smile crossed her face. They were both right. Jacob listened. He was good at that, she was learning. Good at being quiet when quiet was needed. "I was always big, even as a child. By the time I was 12 summers, I was taller than my father. By 15, taller than any man in our village." She paused. "The other children were afraid of me. The adults too, some of them. They called me names: giant, monster, freak. Kids can be cruel. Adults can be crueler." Ayasha finally sat, not close to him, but closer than before. "My father taught me to fight. Said if the world was going to fear me anyway, I might as well give them a reason. My mother taught me to heal. Said a warrior who only knows how to destroy will destroy herself eventually." "Smart woman." "The smartest." Ayasha's voice caught. "She was the first one they killed. Made my father watch. Made me watch. Then they—" She stopped. Couldn't go further. Not yet. Jacob reached over and took her hand. Didn't say anything. Just held on. They sat like that for a long time. Finally, Ayasha spoke again. "The man I killed. Silas Cutter. He was the worst of them. The others, they were cruel because they were stupid. Because they did not see me as human. But Silas—" She shuddered. Silas knew exactly what he was doing. He enjoyed it. The pain. The fear. He collected people like other men collect horses. "He's dead now." "Yes. But his brothers are not. And they will come." Jacob squeezed her hand. "Let them." "You keep saying that, like you are not afraid." "I am afraid," Jacob admitted. "Terrified, actually, but not of dying." He looked at her. "I'm afraid of going back to the way things were. Empty. Alone. Just waiting to die without ever really living." Ayasha stared at him. "You are the strangest man I have ever met." "I'll take that as a compliment. It was not meant as one. I'll take it anyway." She laughed. That broken, beautiful sound that Jacob was already learning to love. "You are impossible," she said. "So I've been told." The sun was starting to rise, pink and gold spreading across the sky like spilled paint. Neither of them moved to go inside. "Jacob," Ayasha said quietly. If they come when they come, I will not let you die for me. That's not your choice to make. I am serious. So am I. He turned to face her fully. I spent 5 years being dead inside Ayasha. Walking around, eating, sleeping, but not really alive. You woke me up. I don't know how. I don't know why. But you did. He touched her face. So if I die protecting you, at least I'll die alive. At least I'll die for something that matters. Her eyes filled with tears. You barely know me. I know enough. I am damaged, broken. I have scars you cannot see. We all do. Mine are worse. It's not a competition. His thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. I'm not asking you to be perfect, Ayasha. I'm not asking you to be healed. I'm just asking you to stay. For how long? For as long as you want. He paused. Forever if you'll have me. She should have said no, should have pushed him away, should have done 100 things that would have kept them both safe. Instead, she leaned down and kissed him again. This time, she didn't pull away. The days that followed were the strangest of Ayasha's life. Strange because they were peaceful. Strange because she woke up each morning and didn't immediately reach for a weapon. Strange because she caught herself smiling for no reason at all. Jacob taught her about the ranch. How to tend the horses. How to fix a fence. How to coax a stubborn cow out of a snowdrift. Simple work. Honest work. The kind that tired your body, but let your mind rest. In return, Ayasha taught him what she knew. How to track an animal through fresh snow. How to read the sky for coming weather. How to make a fire that burned hot, but gave off little smoke. My mother taught me that, she said one afternoon. She said smoke was an invitation to enemies. Your mother sounds like she was a warrior herself. She was, just a different kind. They fell into a rhythm. Coffee at dawn, work through the day, dinner by the fire, talking late into the night about everything and nothing. Jacob told her about the war, about the friends he'd lost, about the things he'd done that still haunted him. I killed a boy once, he said, staring into the flames. Couldn't have been more than 15. Came at me with a bayonet. I didn't think, just reacted. He swallowed. He looked so surprised, like he didn't believe it was happening. That was not your fault. It was war. Doesn't matter whose fault it was. He's still dead. I still see his face. Ayasha moved closer, put her arm around him. It should have looked ridiculous, a giant woman comforting a man she could lift with one hand. But it didn't. It looked exactly right. We carry our dead, she said softly. My people believe that. Everyone we lose, everyone we fail, everyone we cannot save, we carry them. They become part of us. The weight never goes away. We just get stronger. Jacob leaned into her. You really believe that? I have to. Her voice was barely a whisper. Otherwise, the weight would crush me. They stayed like that until the fire burned low. On the 5th day, they went to town. Ayasha didn't want to go. Every instinct screamed danger. But the supplies were running low, and Jacob couldn't carry everything himself. You could stay here, he offered. I'll be quick. And if they are there, if they find you, then I'll handle it. She grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong enough to bruise, but Jacob didn't flinch. I will not hide, she said. I am done hiding. So they went together. The town of Willow Creek was small, maybe 200 people on a good day. A main street, a general store, a church with a crooked steeple. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone and strangers were noticed immediately. They noticed Ayasha. She felt the stares as soon as they rode in. Jacob on his horse, her walking beside him because no horse could carry her comfortably. Whispers followed them like flies. Good Lord, look at the size of her. Is that an Indian? What's Hawkins doing with an Indian? Somebody should call the sheriff. Jacob's jaw tightened. But before he could say anything, Ayasha spoke. Let them talk. Words cannot hurt me. They should show you respect. Respect is earned, or taken. She glanced at him. I will earn it, if they let me. If not, a dangerous smile crossed her face. Then I will take it. They reached the general store. Jacob went inside while Ayasha waited with the horses. She could feel eyes on her from every direction, watching, judging, fearing. She stood tall. Let them look. Let them see that she was not ashamed. A woman came out of the store across the street. Older, gray-haired, wearing an apron and a suspicious frown. She walked straight up to Ayasha. You the one staying with Jacob McAllister? Ayasha met her eyes. I am. He's a good man, keeps to himself, never causes trouble. I know. The woman studied her for a long moment. Then unexpectedly she smiled. I'm Martha Brennan. I own the dry goods store. If you need anything fabric thread, that sort of thing, you come see me. She paused. And don't mind the others. They're scared of anything different. It's not personal. It feels personal. I imagine it does. Martha's eyes softened. I buried 2 husbands. The first one, the whole town came to mourn. The second one was Chinese. I'd married him after the railroad came through. When he died, only 3 people showed up to the funeral. She shrugged. People fear what they don't understand. It's not right, but it's human. Ayasha didn't know what to say. She hadn't expected kindness. Not here. Thank you, she managed. Don't thank me yet. Stick around long enough and I'll put you to work. Martha winked. You look like you could lift a whole bolt of fabric without breaking a sweat. For the first time in days, Ayasha laughed where others could hear. It felt like a victory. Jacob came out of the store with an armload of supplies. He stopped when he saw Ayasha talking with Martha, his face a mixture of confusion and hope. Making friends. Maybe. Ayasha took some of the supplies from him. Martha says I can work for her. Did she now? I did. Martha confirmed. This town needs more people who aren't afraid to speak their minds. I have a feeling this one qualifies. Jacob smiled. A real smile, the kind that crinkled the corners of his eyes. You have no idea. They loaded the supplies and started back toward the ranch. The whispers followed them, but they seemed quieter now, less hostile. Ayasha waited until they were out of town before she spoke. That woman, Martha, she is unusual. She's been here longer than anyone, seen everything, judged nothing. Jacob glanced at her. She's also the biggest gossip in 3 counties. By tomorrow, everyone will know you're staying with me. Is that a problem? Depends. Some folks won't care. Others... He stopped. Others will care very much. Yes. Ayasha nodded. She'd expected as much. A white man living with an Indian woman. In this territory. In this time. Do you care? She asked. Not even a little. Your life would be easier without me. Jacob laughed. Actually laughed. My life would be emptier without you. That's not the same thing. She didn't have an answer for that. So she just kept walking, her heart full of something she was afraid to name. They didn't see the rider watching them from the ridge above town. They didn't see him turn his horse and head east toward Red Creek, where a man with a scarred face was waiting for news. And they didn't know that in 3 days, everything would change. The rider's name was Cole. Cole Cutter, youngest brother of Silas Cutter, the man Ayasha had killed. He'd been tracking her for 2 weeks, across frozen rivers, through mountain passes, past towns that had seen her and said nothing. But this town was different. This town talked. He rode into Red Creek just after sunset, found his brother Eli in the saloon exactly where he'd left him 3 days ago. Found her? Cole said, sliding into the seat across from Eli. Eli didn't look up from his whiskey. Where? Place called Willow Creek. She's staying with some rancher, man named McAllister. Now Eli looked up. His face was ruined. A scar ran from his forehead to his chin, courtesy of the giant woman who'd killed their brother. The eye on that side was milky white, useless. Just one man. Far as I could tell. And the woman, how does she look? Strong. Healthy. Cole hesitated. Happy. Eli's remaining eye hardened. Happy. She was laughing, Eli. Laughing with some old woman in town like she hadn't gutted Silas 3 weeks ago. She killed our brother. I know. Cut him open like a fish. Left him to bleed out in the snow. I know. Eli downed his whiskey in one swallow. Get the others. We ride at dawn. How many? All of them. Eli smiled. It was not a pleasant sight. I want her alive. I want her to see what we do to the man she's been playing house with. I want her to watch him die screaming. And then I'm going to take my time. Eli stood up. Silas always said she was special. Too strong. Too proud. Too much fight in her. He touched his scarred face. I'm going to break that fight, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but a broken animal that does what it's told. Cole didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. 3 days. That's all the time Ayasha and Jacob had left. And they didn't even know the clock was ticking. Back at the ranch, Ayasha woke in the middle of the night. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones. A coldness that had nothing to do with the weather. She got up, moved silently to the window. The moon was full, casting silver light across the snow-covered yard. Nothing moved. But still, she couldn't shake the feeling. Bad dreams. Jacob's voice soft and sleep-rough. She turned to find him sitting up watching her. Not dreams, she said. A feeling. What kind of feeling? The kind my mother used to call shadow sense. When danger is coming, but hasn't arrived yet. Jacob got up, came to stand beside her at the window. How long? I do not know. Days. Maybe less. Then we should prepare. Ayasha looked at him. This man who had taken her in, healed her, held her, loved her maybe, though neither of them had said the word. You could still run, she said. Leave. I will draw them away from here. We've been through this. I know, but I had to try one more time. Jacob took her hand. If they're coming, we'll face them together. That's the deal now. That's how this works. That is not a deal. That is a death wish. Maybe. He squeezed her hand. But it's my death wish, and I'm choosing to share it with you. She wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but she was so tired of fighting alone. Okay, she whispered. Together. Together. They stood at the window until dawn, watching for shadows that hadn't arrived yet, knowing that when they did nothing would ever be the same. The next morning, Ayasha told Jacob everything she knew about the Cutter brothers. There were 3 of them. Silas was the oldest, the smartest, the cruelest. She was pacing as she spoke, too restless to sit. Eli is the middle one. He is not smart, but he is mean, vicious. I gave him that scar when he tried to. She stopped. When he tried. And the third? Cole, the youngest. I do not know much about him. He was always quiet, always watching. The other 2 did the talking. So we're looking at 2 men plus whoever they've gathered. More than 2. They have friends, business partners, men who profit from trading in human flesh. Her hands clenched into fists. There could be a dozen, maybe more. Jacob was quiet for a moment. Then, I have 6 bullets in my revolver, a rifle with 20 rounds, a shotgun for close work. That is not enough. No, it's not. He looked at her. But I've been in worse odds. Shiloh. Antietam. Sometimes it's not about the numbers. Then what is it about? Conviction. Believing in what you're fighting for. He held her gaze. I believe in you, Ayasha. That's worth more than 100 bullets. She felt tears prick her eyes. Damn this man. Damn him for making her feel things she'd sworn never to feel again. I love you, she said. The words came out before she could stop them. Raw, unplanned, terrifying. Jacob stared at her. For one horrible moment she thought she'd made a mistake. Then he smiled. That slow, steady smile that made her heart do strange things. I know, he said. I've been waiting for you to figure it out. You are insufferable. And you love me. Unfortunately. He crossed to her, took her face in his hands. Had to reach up to do it, and she had to bend down, and it should have been awkward, but it wasn't. I love you too, he said, in case that wasn't clear. It was clear. Just wanted to say it out loud. Then say it again. I love you, Ayasha. Whatever happens, whatever comes, I love you. She kissed him, hard and desperate and full of all the things she couldn't put into words. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. We should prepare, Ayasha said. We should. Fortify the cabin, set traps, make plans. All of that. Neither of them moved. 5 more minutes, Jacob said. 5 more minutes. She agreed. They held each other in the morning light, stealing moments from a future that might not exist. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The clock kept ticking. And somewhere to the east, Eli Cutter and his men were saddling their horses. They came on the 3rd day. Ayasha saw the dust before she heard the horses. A brown smudge against the white horizon moving fast. Too fast for friendly visitors. Jacob. 1 word. That's all she needed. He was beside her in seconds, rifle already in his hands. How many? She counted, kept counting. Her stomach dropped. 8. Maybe 9. Jacob's jaw tightened. More than I hoped. Less than I feared. They'd spent the past 2 days preparing, barricading the windows, setting traps in the snow, hiding weapons in every corner of the cabin. But looking at that approaching dust cloud, all their preparations felt like paper walls against a flood. You should go, Ayasha said. Take the back trail through the mountains. I will hold them here. We've been through this. I know, but I had to say it one more time. And I have to refuse one more time. Jacob checked his rifle. We fight together. We live together. We die together. That's the deal. Ayasha wanted to argue, wanted to knock him unconscious and drag him to safety. But she knew that look in his eyes, the same look she'd seen in warriors who had made their peace with death. You are the most stubborn man I have ever known, she said. Coming from you, that's saying something. Despite everything, she almost smiled. The riders were close enough now to see faces. Ayasha recognized Eli immediately. That ruined face. That milky eye. The hatred burning in the one that still worked. He saw her too. Well, well. His voice carried across the snow. There she is. The giant who killed my brother. The men spread out, surrounding the cabin, cutting off escape routes. Professional. They'd done this before. Jacob stepped onto the porch, rifle raised, voice steady. You're on my land. Turn around and ride out, and nobody has to die today. Eli laughed. It was an ugly sound. You must be the rancher, the one who's been keeping my property warm. He spat in the snow. I'm going to enjoy watching her face while we gut you. She's not your property. She's not anyone's property. See, that's where you're wrong. Eli nudged his horse forward. I paid good money for her. Silas paid good money. And then she killed him. Cut him open like a pig. He touched his scarred face. Gave me this as a parting gift. Sounds like he deserved what he got. The men shifted, hands moving toward guns. The air crackled with violence waiting to happen. Last chance, Jacob said. Right away. Eli's smile faded. Kill him. The first shot came from the left. Jacob was already moving, diving behind the water trough as bullets splintered the porch railing. Ayasha grabbed the shotgun from inside the door and fired. One man went down screaming. Then everything was chaos. Ayasha had fought before, many times, but never like this. Never with something to lose, never with someone to protect. She saw Jacob firing from behind the trough, saw two more men fall, heard him grunt as a bullet grazed his arm. Jacob. I'm fine. Watch your left. She spun. A man was charging the cabin with a torch. She threw her knife. It caught him in the throat and he dropped like a stone. Inside, Jacob shouted. We can't hold the yard. They retreated into the cabin, slammed the door, pushed the heavy table against it. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Eli's voice muffled through the walls. You think that'll save you? We'll burn you out, smoke you like rats. Try it, Jacob called back. First man through that door gets his head blown off. Bold talk for a dead man. Ayasha grabbed Jacob's arm, checked the wound. It was shallow, bleeding, but not dangerous. You were supposed to stay behind me, she said. Since when do I do what I'm supposed to? Since never. That is the problem. A crash against the door, then another. They were trying to break through. How many did we get? Jacob asked. 3, maybe 4. So 5 left, plus Eli. Yes. Good odds. Ayasha stared at him. Those are not good odds. Better than Shiloh. She wanted to scream, wanted to shake him. Instead, she kissed him, hard and fast and desperate. If we survive this, she said, I am going to kill you myself. Fair enough. Another crash. The table shifted. The door was giving way. Jacob raised his rifle. Ayasha grabbed the axe she'd hidden behind the woodpile. Ready? He asked. No. Me neither. The door burst open. The first man through took a bullet between the eyes. The second met Ayasha's axe. The third managed to fire before Jacob dropped him. The bullet went wide, shattering a window. Then silence again. That's half of them, Jacob said. The other half will be smarter. She was right. Minutes passed. No more charges. No more shooting. Just that terrible waiting silence. Then the smell of smoke. They're burning us out, Ayasha said. Jacob checked the window. Flames were licking at the back of the cabin. They'd thrown torches onto the roof. We have to go, now. They will be waiting. I know, but we can't stay here. Ayasha looked at him. This man who had chosen her, who had loved her, who was about to die for her. I will go first, she said. Like hell you will. Jacob, I am bigger, faster. I can draw their fire while I watch you die. He grabbed her hand. Together, remember, that's the deal. You and your deal. Damn right. He kissed her, softer this time, like a promise. Through the back window, on 3. Don't stop running until you reach the tree line. And then we see how many of them are left. Ayasha nodded. She'd stopped trying to argue. If they were going to die, at least they would die together. 1, Jacob said. She tightened her grip on the axe. 2. He raised his rifle. 3. They burst through the window into the smoke and fire and chaos of the burning cabin. Bullets flew. Ayasha felt one clip her shoulder. Another hit Jacob in the leg. He stumbled but kept running. The tree line, so close, so far. A man stepped out in front of them. Ayasha hit him with the axe without breaking stride. He went down gurgling. 50 feet, 40, 30. Jacob collapsed. No! Ayasha skidded to her knees beside him. Get up, Jacob. Get up. My leg. I do not care about your leg. She grabbed him under the arms, started dragging. You are not dying here. A shot rang out. The dirt kicked up next to her foot. Stop right there. Eli, standing 20 feet away, gun raised, that horrible smile on his ruined face. I was hoping you'd try to run, he said. Makes it more fun when they fight. Ayasha put herself between Eli and Jacob. You will have to go through me. That's the idea, sweetheart. Then come. Try. See what happens. Eli cocked his head. You killed my brother. You took my eye. And now you're protecting this pathetic little rancher like he means something. He laughed. What do you think is going to happen here? You think you're going to save him. You think love conquers all. I think you talk too much. And I think... He never finished the sentence. The shot came from the trees. Hit Eli in the shoulder. Spun him around like a puppet. Another shot. Another man went down. Then a voice high and old and absolutely furious. That's enough, you sons of bitches! Martha Brennan stepped out of the trees, a rifle in her hands and murder in her eyes. Behind her a dozen townspeople, armed, angry, ready. Martha, Ayasha couldn't believe what she was seeing. You think I don't know trouble when I see it? Martha fired again, and another of Eli's men dropped. Saw these bastards ride through town this morning, recognized the type, figured they'd cause problems. The remaining men were running, scattering into the trees, all except Eli, who was on his knees clutching his bleeding shoulder. Martha walked up to him, pressed the barrel of her rifle against his forehead. You have exactly 10 seconds to give me a reason not to pull this trigger, she said. Eli's remaining eye was wild, panicked. I have rights. I'm a citizen. She's just an Indian. She's a woman, a human being, and you're vermin. Martha's finger tightened on the trigger. 5 seconds. Wait. Ayasha's voice stopped her. She limped forward, still holding the axe. He is mine. Martha looked at her, then stepped back. Ayasha stood over Eli, this man who had hunted her, hurt her, stolen years of her life. Do you know what my mother used to say about vengeance? She asked. Eli didn't answer. He was shaking too hard to speak. She said it was a fire that burned the one who held it. That true strength was letting it go. Ayasha crouched down until her face was level with his. But my mother was kinder than me. She stood up, raised the axe, and stopped. No, she said slowly. You do not get to die quickly. You do not get to be a martyr for your cause. You get to live. You get to tell everyone what happened here. You get to spend the rest of your life knowing that a giant Indian woman beat you, that she was stronger than you, that she won. She dropped the axe. Get him out of here. If I ever see his face again, I will not be so merciful. Martha nodded, signaled to some of the townspeople. They dragged Eli away. Ayasha turned back to Jacob. He was conscious but pale, his leg bleeding badly. I need bandages, she called out. Whiskey, hot water, now. Already on it, Martha said. Ayasha knelt beside Jacob, took his hand. You idiot, she said. You beautiful, stupid idiot. Is that your way of saying you're glad I'm alive? It is my way of saying I am going to yell at you for a very long time once you are healed. He smiled, that slow, steady smile she loved. Looking forward to it, he said. The townspeople got Jacob back to Martha's store. The doctor came, said the bullet had gone clean through, missed the bone. With rest and care, he'd walk again. Ayasha didn't leave his side. The first night she sat in a chair beside his bed, refusing to sleep. The second night, she finally let herself close her eyes, but only after Martha promised to wake her if anything changed. The third night, Jacob opened his eyes and found her sleeping, with her head on his chest, her giant body curled into a chair that was far too small for her. Hey, he said softly. She jolted awake. Her eyes found his, and something crumbled in her face. You are awake. So it seems. The doctor said you might not, that the fever could. She stopped, swallowed. I was scared. You scared? He reached up, touched her face. I thought you weren't afraid of anything. I was not, until I had something to lose. Jacob pulled her down, kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Not without you. You almost died. Almost doesn't count. In my culture, almost is a warning. Well, in my culture, almost means I still owe you dinner. He smiled. And maybe a proposal. Ayasha froze. What? You heard me. Jacob, you are delirious. The fever's gone. I know exactly what I'm saying. He held her gaze. I love you, Ayasha. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to build a home with you, raise a family with you, grow old with you. We have known each other for less than a month. Some people know each other for years and never really see each other. I saw you the first night, in my barn, ready to kill me. He laughed softly. And I thought, well, at least she's honest. I almost crushed your throat. Like I said, honest. She stared at him. This impossible man, this fool who had nearly died for her, who was asking her to marry him from a sickbed with a bullet hole in his leg. You are insane, she said. Probably. I am too tall for you. I like looking up. I am too strong. I could break you. Then be gentle. I have nothing. No people. No home. No past worth remembering. Then we'll build a future. Together. She felt the tears coming, couldn't stop them. Jacob McAllister, she said, you are the most foolish man I have ever met. Is that a yes? It is a yes. God help us both, it is a yes. He pulled her down and kissed her, long and deep and full of promise. Outside the window, the townspeople were rebuilding what the fire had destroyed. Neighbors who had been strangers a week ago. People who had chosen to fight for a woman they didn't know because one stubborn rancher had shown them she was worth fighting for. Martha came in an hour later with soup and bread. Finally awake, I see, she said to Jacob. About time. Your woman's been scaring the other patients. She does that? I do not scare people, Ayasha said. I simply exist near them. Martha laughed. I like her. So do I. Well, when you're healed up, you've both got a place in this town. The cabin's being rebuilt as we speak. Should be done in a few weeks. She set down the food. Until then, you can stay here. The room's small, but... It is perfect, Ayasha said. Thank you. For everything. Martha waved her hand. Don't thank me. Thank the people who rode out with me. Turns out when you ask folks to do the right thing, most of them want to. She headed for the door. Eat your soup, both of you. You look like hell. After she left, Jacob took Ayasha's hand. She's right, you know. About the soup. About having a place here. He squeezed her fingers. This could be home. If you want it to be. Ayasha looked around the small room. Looked out the window at the people working together. Looked at the man beside her. I want it, she said. More than I have ever wanted anything. Then it's settled. Nothing is ever settled. True. But we can pretend for tonight. She climbed onto the bed beside him. Careful of his leg. Laid her head on his chest. I love you, she whispered. I know. I want to hear you say it. I love you too, Ayasha. Today, tomorrow, every day after that. She closed her eyes. Let herself feel safe. Let herself believe that maybe, just maybe the worst was behind them. But in her heart, she knew better. Because 2 days later, as Jacob was finally strong enough to stand on his own, Ayasha woke up sick. She barely made it to the basin before emptying her stomach. When she looked up, her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. Jacob, she said slowly. I think something is wrong. But nothing was wrong. Something was very, very right. The doctor confirmed it that afternoon. "You're with child, ma'am. About 3 weeks along, I'd say." Ayasha sat in stunned silence. Her hand moved to her stomach, to the tiny life growing inside her. "That is not possible." "I assure you, it's very possible." The doctor smiled. "Congratulations." Jacob was standing in the doorway. He'd heard everything. His face was unreadable. "Jacob," Ayasha started. He crossed to her, knelt beside her chair, took her hands in his. "A baby," he said. "Yes. Our baby." "Yes." A smile broke across his face, bright and warm and full of wonder. "I'm going to be a father." "You are not angry." "Angry." He laughed. "Ayasha, I'm terrified. But angry never." He pressed his forehead to hers. "This is a gift. The best gift anyone's ever given me." "It might be too soon. We barely know each other. We are not even married. The town will talk. People will... Let them talk. Let the whole world talk." He pulled back, looked into her eyes. "I love you. I'm going to marry you. And we're going to raise this child together. That's all that matters." She felt tears streaming down her face. Happy tears. For the first time in longer than she could remember. "I do not deserve you," she said. "Too bad. You're stuck with me. Forever. Forever, and then some." She kissed him, tasted salt and joy and hope. Outside, the sun was setting over Willow Creek, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. A new day was ending. A new life was beginning. And somewhere deep inside Ayasha, a tiny heart was already starting to beat. The news spread through Willow Creek faster than wildfire. The giant Indian woman was pregnant. Jacob McAllister was going to be a father. And they were getting married. Ayasha heard the whispers everywhere she went. At Martha's store. At the well. Walking down the main street with her hand resting on her still flat stomach. Some whispers were kind. Most were not. "It ain't natural. A white man and an Indian. What kind of children will they have? Freaks. That's what. Giants and half-breeds." She pretended not to hear, kept her head high, kept walking. But at night when Jacob was asleep, she would lie awake and wonder if they were right. If she was selfish for wanting this. For bringing a child into a world that would never fully accept it. "You're thinking too loud," Jacob said one night. She'd thought he was sleeping. "I can hear it from over here." "Go back to sleep." "Can't. My woman's worried and that worries me." He rolled over to face her. "Talk to me." "It is nothing." "Ayasha." She sighed. There was no hiding from him. There never had been. "What if they are right?" she whispered. "The people who talk. What if our child is wrong? What if we are wrong?" Jacob was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat up, lit the candle beside the bed, and looked at her with those steady gray eyes. "Let me tell you something," he said. "When I was a boy, my father told me I'd never amount to anything. Said I was too soft, too quiet, not enough of a man." He shrugged. He was wrong about everything except the quiet part. "Jacob, let me finish. When I married Sarah, her family said it wouldn't last. Said we were too young, too different. Said we'd be divorced within a year." His voice softened. "We had 7 years. 7 beautiful years. And then she died, and I thought I'd never feel anything again." He reached out, touched her face. "Then you showed up, bleeding in my barn, ready to kill me." A ghost of a smile. "And everyone said I was crazy for helping you, crazy for loving you, crazy for wanting to build a life with you." They were probably right about the crazy part. Maybe. But here's what I know. He leaned closer. Every person who ever told me what was possible, what was right, what was normal, they were all wrong. Every single one. So, why should I start listening to them now? Ayasha felt tears threatening. She blinked them back. Our child might not fit, she said. Might not belong anywhere. Then we'll make a place where they do belong, right here, with us. He kissed her forehead. That's what family does. We don't fit into the world. We make our own world. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. How do you do that? She asked. Do what? Make everything seem possible, even when it is not. Practice. He smiled. And a healthy dose of delusion. She laughed. It came out watery, mixed with the tears she couldn't hold back anymore. I love you, she said. I know. Now go to sleep. We've got a wedding to plan. The wedding. Martha had taken charge of it the moment she heard about the engagement, showed up at their temporary room with fabric samples and menu options, and a list of things that needed doing. You're getting married in the church, she announced. Reverend Hayes already agreed. Ayasha blinked. The church will allow it. An Indian woman. The church will allow whatever I tell it to allow. Martha waved her hand. I've been donating to that collection plate for 30 years. They owe me. Martha, you do not have to. Hush, I want to do this. Haven't had a good wedding in this town since the Henderson's girl married that awful banker from Denver. She made a face. He wore a purple cravat. Purple. At a wedding. Despite herself, Ayasha smiled. What color should a man wear to a wedding? Something sensible. Black, gray, maybe dark blue if he's feeling bold. Martha looked at Jacob, who was trying very hard to stay out of the conversation. You own a suit. Somewhere. Find it. Clean it. If it doesn't fit, we'll fix it. She turned back to Ayasha. Now, the dress. I do not need a dress. I can wear... You absolutely need a dress. A proper one. Something beautiful. Martha's eyes softened. Every woman deserves to feel beautiful on her wedding day, even if she's 7 feet tall and could arm wrestle a bear. I am not 7 feet tall. Close enough. Now come with me. I have some ideas. Ayasha looked at Jacob helplessly. He shrugged. Don't look at me. I learned long ago not to argue with Martha Brennan. Wise man, Martha said. Come along, dear. We have work to do. The dress took 3 weeks to make. Martha had called in favors from seamstresses across 2 counties. They worked in shifts, sewing and fitting and adjusting. Ayasha stood still for hours while they measured and pinned and muttered about proportions. Hold your arms out. Turn to the left. Breathe in. Now out. Now hold it. She felt ridiculous, like a doll being dressed up for display. But when she finally saw herself in the mirror, something shifted inside her. The dress was cream-colored, simple but elegant. It fell to her ankles in soft waves, hiding her 2 long legs. The neckline was modest but flattering, and along the hem, someone had sewn delicate beadwork in patterns that made her throat tighten. Cheyenne patterns, her mother's patterns. Martha, she breathed. How did you... That young man, running deer. He showed me the designs. Martha stood beside her looking at their reflections. Said they were traditional, for brides. Ayasha couldn't speak. The tears were coming too fast. Oh, honey. Martha put an arm around her. Well, as much of an arm as she could reach. It's supposed to be a happy day. It is. It is happy. She wiped her eyes. My mother wore these patterns, on her wedding day. I never thought I would see them again. Well, now you will, every time you look at this dress. Ayasha turned and hugged Martha. It was awkward, she was so much bigger, but neither of them cared. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. You're welcome, dear. Now stop crying before you ruin the silk. The night before the wedding, Ayasha couldn't sleep. She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Jacob, and walked outside. The moon was full, painting everything silver and shadow. She stood in the yard of their rebuilt cabin, breathed in the cold night air, placed her hand on her stomach where a tiny life was growing bigger every day. "Are you scared?" She turned. Running Deer was standing by the fence, his weathered face unreadable in the moonlight. "A little," she admitted. "Good. Fear means you care." He walked closer. This man who had become something like family over the past weeks, who had taught her that she was not the only Cheyenne left in the world, that her people survived even when everything seemed lost. "My grandmother used to say that marriage was not about finding someone to live with," Running Deer said. "It was about finding someone you could not live without." That sounds wise. She was the wisest person I ever knew. He paused. Is he that person, the rancher? Ayasha thought about it, about Jacob pulling her from the barn, feeding her, healing her, loving her when she didn't know how to be loved. "Yes," she said. "He is." Running Deer nodded. "Then you have nothing to fear. The ceremony is just words. The marriage is in your heart. You are more poetic than you look." "I am old. Old people are allowed to be poetic." He smiled. "Go back to bed. Tomorrow is a big day." "Running Deer." He stopped. "Thank you. For the patterns. For Martha." "I did not do it for thanks. I did it because you are Cheyenne, and we take care of our own." He walked away into the darkness. Ayasha stood for a moment longer, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Belonging. The wedding day arrived cold and clear. The whole town turned out, squeezed into the little church until people were standing against the walls and spilling out the doors. Ayasha heard later that some folks rode in from 20 miles away just to see it. The giant Indian woman marrying the quiet rancher. The love story no one expected. Jacob stood at the altar with Reverend Hayes. He was wearing his suit cleaned and pressed within an inch of its life by Martha's determined hands. His gray eyes found Ayasha the moment she appeared in the doorway. She walked alone. There was no one to give her away, no family to escort her. Just her own 2 feet carrying her toward the man she loved. The church fell silent. Every eye was on her. She felt their stares like weight on her shoulders. Then Jacob smiled. That slow, steady smile that made everything else disappear. She smiled back. "Dearly beloved," Reverend Hayes began, his voice trembling slightly. He'd never married an Indian woman before. Never stood before a bride who was taller than he was. But he squared his shoulders and pressed on. "We are gathered here today to witness the union of Jacob McAllister and Ayasha." He paused, looked at Ayasha. "I apologize, my dear. I was never told your full name." "Ayasha Whitehorse," she said. "But I would like to be called Ayasha McAllister." A murmur ran through the crowd. Jacob's smile widened. "Ayasha McAllister," the Reverend repeated. "Yes, well then." He cleared his throat. "We are gathered here to witness the union of Jacob McAllister and Ayasha, soon to be McAllister." The ceremony was simple. Vows were spoken. Rings were exchanged, plain gold bands that Martha had sourced from somewhere mysterious. Jacob's hands shook when he slid the ring onto Ayasha's finger. "You're shaking," she whispered. "I'm nervous." "Why?" "You already know I will say yes." "I know, but this makes it real." He looked up at her. "This means I get to keep you forever." "You had me at the soup." He laughed. Right there at the altar in front of God and the whole town, Jacob McAllister laughed. "I love you," he said. "I know. Say it again." "I love you, Ayasha McAllister." "I love you too, husband." Reverend Hayes cleared his throat. "If you're quite finished, I believe we have a ceremony to complete." "Sorry, Reverend." "Not sorry at all, actually." The Reverend sighed. "By the power vested in me by the Lord and the territory of Wyoming, I now pronounce you husband and wife." He looked at Jacob. "You may kiss your bride." Jacob had to reach up. Ayasha had to bend down. It should have been awkward, should have been strange. It was perfect. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Even the ones who had whispered, even the ones who had doubted, they clapped and shouted and threw their hats in the air. Because at the end of the day, love was love, and anyone could see that what these two people had was the real thing. The celebration lasted until well past midnight. There was food more than Ayasha had ever seen in one place. There was music, fiddles and guitars, and someone's ancient harmonica. There was dancing, though Ayasha mostly watched because she didn't know the steps and was afraid of stepping on someone. "Come on." Jacob grabbed her hand. "Dance with me. I will crush you. I'll take my chances." He pulled her onto the makeshift dance floor, put his arms around her as far as they would go, started moving to the music. "This is not dancing," Ayasha said. "This is swaying. Swaying counts. You are making that up. Maybe, but you're smiling, so who cares?" She was smiling, had been smiling for hours. Her face actually hurt from it. "I am happy," she said, like it was a revelation, like she couldn't quite believe it. "Good, that's the plan." "What plan?" "My plan. Operation Make Ayasha Happy." He twirled her, or tried to. It was more of a shuffle. "Step 1, marry her. Step 2, spend the rest of my life making her smile." That is a very simple plan. Simple plans are the best plans. She pulled him closer, rested her chin on top of his head because that was the only place it would fit. "I love you, Jacob McAllister." "I love you too, Mrs. McAllister." "Mrs. McAllister." She turned the words over in her mind, let them settle into her bones. "I like the sound of that," she said. "So do I." 2 weeks after the wedding, Ayasha woke up screaming. Jacob was beside her in an instant, hands on her shoulders, voice urgent. "What is it? What's wrong?" She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Her stomach was cramping, pain radiating through her like fire. "The baby," she gasped. "Something is wrong with the baby." Jacob's face went white. "I'll get the doctor. Don't move." "Jacob." "Don't move." He was gone. She heard him shouting for help, heard footsteps running. The pain came again, worse this time. She doubled over, tears streaming down her face. Not the baby. Please, not the baby. She'd only known about the pregnancy for a few weeks. Had only just started to believe it was real. But already she loved this child with a ferocity that terrified her. The doctor arrived, examined her, asked questions she barely heard through the haze of pain. Finally, after what felt like hours, he straightened up. "Mrs. McAllister," he said carefully, "the baby is fine." "What?" "The baby is fine. What you're experiencing is, well, it's not uncommon. Some women have intense cramping in the early months. It's painful, but not dangerous." Ayasha stared at him. "The baby is fine. Perfectly fine. Strong heartbeat. Everything where it should be." She started crying. Great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. Jacob gathered her in his arms, held her tight, let her fall apart. "It's okay," he murmured. "It's okay. The baby's okay." "I was so scared." "I know, me too. I thought I was losing it. I thought, I know, but you're not. We're not." He pulled back, wiped her tears with his thumbs. "Our baby is strong, just like its mother." The doctor packed up his bag. "Rest for a few days, Mrs. McAllister. Drink plenty of water, avoid heavy lifting." He paused. "And try not to worry. I know that's easier said than done, but stress won't help." After he left, Jacob lay beside Ayasha, his hand resting on her stomach. "That was the worst moment of my life," he said quietly. "Mine too. Can we agree to never do that again? I will speak to the baby about it." He laughed, a shaky sound still rough with leftover fear. "I love you," he said. "I know. I'm going to say it a lot over the next few months. I will allow it." They lay there together as the sun came up. Two people who had almost lost everything, holding on to what they'd found. Spring arrived slowly, then all at once. The snow melted, the flowers bloomed, and Ayasha's belly grew bigger every day. She had never been pregnant before, had never even thought about being pregnant, not seriously. But now, watching her body change, feeling the flutter of movement inside her, she understood what all the stories meant. "He kicked," she said one evening, grabbing Jacob's hand and pressing it to her stomach. How do you know it's a he?" "I do not. I just feel it." Jacob weighted his hand warm against her skin. Then his eyes went wide. "I felt it. I felt him kick." "Strong isn't he, like his mother?" Ayasha smiled. "Or stubborn, like his father?" "I prefer determined." "You would." They were sitting on the porch of their rebuilt cabin, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and pink. A year ago, Ayasha had been running for her life. A year ago, she had believed she would die alone. Now she had a husband, a home, a child on the way. "What are you thinking?" Jacob asked. "That I do not deserve this." "Ayasha, let me finish." She took his hand. "I do not deserve this, but I am learning to accept it anyway. To believe that maybe good things are not always a trick. Maybe sometimes they are just good." Jacob brought her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. "You deserve everything," he said, "and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you. That might take a while. Good thing we've got time." The baby kicked again, harder this time, like he was agreeing. Ayasha laughed. For the first time in her life, the sound held no pain, only joy. The summer months passed in a blur of preparation. Jacob built a cradle, then tore it down and built a bigger one, then tore that down and built one that was big enough for a baby who might inherit its mother's size. Martha knitted blankets and booties and little caps. Running Deer carved toys from wood horses and deer, and a tiny wolf that made Ayasha cry for reasons she couldn't explain. The town that had once whispered about them now rallied around them. Meals arrived at their door. Hands showed up to help with chores. Women who had once crossed the street to avoid Ayasha now stopped to chat, to ask about the baby, to share advice. "They have changed," Ayasha said to Martha one afternoon. "The whole town has changed." "People are capable of change," Martha replied. "Sometimes they just need a reason." "What reason?" Martha smiled. "You. You're the reason. You showed up and you stayed and you loved that stubborn man, and you're bringing a new life into this world. People see that. They see what's possible. I did not do anything special. You survived. You chose hope over despair. You built a life when everyone said you couldn't." Martha patted her hand. "That's the most special thing anyone can do." In early September, Ayasha woke up with a different kind of pain. Not the sharp, frightening cramping from before. This was deeper, more purposeful, like her body was getting ready for something. "Jacob." He was awake immediately. "Is it time?" "I think so." He helped her sit up, lit the lamp. His hands were steady, but she could see the fear behind his eyes. "I'll get the doctor." "Not yet. There is time." "Are you sure?" "My mother taught me about this. The pains are still far apart. We have hours yet." Hours. It felt like forever, and no time at all. The sun rose. The pains got closer, stronger. Ayasha gripped Jacob's hand and breathed through each one, drawing on strength she didn't know she had. "You're doing great," Jacob said. "You have no idea what you are talking about." "True, but you're still doing great." The doctor arrived around noon, checked her progress, nodded in that infuriating way doctors do when they know something you don't. "Baby's coming," he said. "Shouldn't be too much longer." Too much longer turned out to be another 6 hours. 6 hours of pain that made everything she'd suffered before feel like nothing. 6 hours of pushing and breathing and screaming and crying. 6 hours that stripped away every defense she'd ever built and left her raw and open and more vulnerable than she'd ever been. And then, finally, a cry. Not hers. Smaller. Angrier. The cry of a brand new human announcing its arrival to the world. "It's a boy," the doctor said, placing the baby on her chest. "A healthy boy." Ayasha looked down at her son, counted his fingers, counted his toes, touched his perfect little face. He was big, already bigger than most newborns, the doctor said. He would be tall like his mother. He would be strong. "Hello," she whispered. "I have been waiting for you." The baby opened his eyes, dark like hers, but with something of Jacob in them too. Something steady. Something true. "He's beautiful." Jacob's voice was rough. He was crying, she realized. This strong, steady man, who had faced down killers and blizzards and a lifetime of loss, he was crying at the sight of his son. "He is," she agreed. "What should we name him?" Ayasha thought about her father, about her mother, about the people she had lost and the people she had found, about the past that had broken her and the future that had healed her. "Samuel," she said, "after my father's spirit name, Shamuel, the one who listens." Samuel McAllister. Jacob reached out, touched his son's tiny hand. "Welcome to the family, Samuel." The baby gurgled, like he understood, like he was saying hello back. Outside, the sun was setting on one of the longest days of Ayasha's life. But as she held her son in her arms, as she looked at the man she loved, as she felt the weight of everything she had gained, she knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning. Samuel cried through his first night on earth. Not the soft mewling cry of most newborns. This was a full-throated howl that rattled the windows and made the horses nervous in the barn. "He has your lungs," Jacob said, bouncing the baby gently while Ayasha tried to rest. "He has your stubbornness. He wants what he wants." "What does he want?" "I do not know. That is the problem." They tried everything: feeding, changing, rocking, singing. Though Jacob's singing made the crying worse, not better. Finally, around 3 in the morning, Ayasha took Samuel and held him against her chest. Skin to skin, heart to heart. She started humming. A Cheyenne lullaby her mother used to sing. The words were lost to her, but the melody remained buried deep in her bones. Samuel stopped crying. He looked up at her with those dark eyes, her eyes, and listened. "There," she whispered. "That is what you wanted. You wanted to hear your grandmother's song." "He can't understand the words," Jacob said softly. "He understands enough." Jacob sat beside her on the bed, put his arm around them both. His family, his whole world in one embrace. "You're going to be an amazing mother," he said. "I have no idea what I am doing." "Neither do I. We'll figure it out together." Samuel yawned, tiny fists uncurling, eyes drifting closed. "He is sleeping," Ayasha breathed. "Finally sleeping. Don't move." "I was not planning to." They sat there frozen in place, afraid that any movement would wake the baby. Minutes passed, then an hour. Jacob's arm went numb, but he didn't shift. "Jacob." Thank you." "For what?" "For this. For him. For everything." Her voice cracked. "I never thought I would have this. A family. A home. A reason to wake up every morning." "You're the reason I wake up every morning." "That is very romantic, also very cheesy." "I'm a father now. I'm allowed to be cheesy." She laughed softly. The baby stirred but didn't wake. "Go to sleep," Jacob said. "Both of you. I'll keep watch. You do not have to." "I want to. Let me." Ayasha leaned into him. Let her eyes close. Let herself trust that he would be there when she woke up. He was. The first month was the hardest. Samuel seemed determined to test them at every turn. He ate constantly, slept rarely, cried at the slightest discomfort, and sometimes for no reason at all. "He hates me," Jacob announced one afternoon, covered in spit-up for the third time that day. "He does not hate you. He is a baby. A baby who hates me. Give him to me." Jacob handed Samuel over. The baby immediately stopped fussing and settled against Ayasha's chest with a contented sigh. "See," Jacob threw his hands up. "He hates me." "He does not?" Ayasha stopped, tried not to smile. "He just knows who feeds him. That's favoritism. That is survival instinct. Same thing." Despite the exhaustion, despite the endless cycles of feeding and changing and soothing, Ayasha had never been happier. She watched her son grow every day, watched him discover his hands, his feet, the sound of his own voice, watched Jacob fall deeper in love with him every time he held him. "He smiled at me," Jacob said one morning, eyes wide. "A real smile, not gas." "Are you sure?" "Positive. He looked right at me and smiled." He was practically glowing. "He doesn't hate me anymore." "He never hated you." "He definitely hated me. But we've worked it out." Ayasha shook her head. Her husband. Her ridiculous, wonderful husband. "Come here," she said. He came. She kissed him. Samuel gurgled between them and they both laughed. "This is good," Jacob said. "This life, this family. It's good." "It is." "I want more of it." Ayasha raised an eyebrow. "More babies." "Eventually, when we're ready." He grinned. "For now, I just want more of this. The three of us, together." "We have forever for that." Forever sounds about right. Martha came to visit every week without fail. She brought food that Ayasha didn't have time to cook, held Samuel while Ayasha napped, gave advice that was sometimes helpful and sometimes completely wrong, but always well-intentioned. "You're spoiling him," Martha said one afternoon, watching Ayasha nurse Samuel for the fourth time in 3 hours. "He is hungry. He's manipulating you. He is 6 weeks old. Babies are smarter than you think." Martha shook her head. "My first one had me wrapped around his finger from day one. Knew exactly how to get what he wanted." "What happened to him, your first one?" Martha's face changed, just for a moment, a shadow passing over the sun. "He died. Scarlet fever. He was 7. Ayasha's heart clenched. "Martha, I am so sorry." "It was a long time ago. Another lifetime." Martha straightened her shoulders. "That's why I'm here, you know. Why I care so much about you and Jacob and this little one. Because I know how precious it is, how fast it can be taken away. You never told me. Some things are hard to talk about." Martha reached out, touched Samuel's cheek. "But seeing this little miracle, it helps. Reminds me that life keeps going. That new beginnings are always possible." Ayasha didn't know what to say, so she did what felt right. She put her arm around Martha and held her close. "You are family," Ayasha said. "You know that, right? You are part of this family." Martha's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, honey. I mean it. Samuel will call you grandmother, if you want." "If I want?" Martha laughed through her tears. "I've been waiting for someone to ask me that for 30 years. "Then it is settled. Grandmother Martha." "That sounds ridiculous." "It sounds perfect." Yee. They sat together, the three of them, while the afternoon light faded. 2 women who had lost everything and found each other. And a baby who was teaching them both how to hope again. Samuel was 3 months old when the letter came. Jacob found it at the post office, tucked between bills and a note from his cousin in Missouri. He didn't recognize the handwriting, didn't recognize the return address. But when he opened it, his blood went cold. "What is it?" Ayasha asked when he came home. She could see something was wrong. could read it in the tension of his shoulders, the set of his jaw. A letter. From the territorial office. What does it say? Jacob handed it over without a word. Ayasha read it, then read it again, then felt her world crack down the middle. They want to take Samuel. That's what it says. They say I am unfit, that an Indian woman cannot raise a white man's child, that it is against... She couldn't finish. The words blurred together through her tears. It's not true. It does not matter if it is true. It matters that they have the power to... They don't have any power over us. Jacob, this is the government, the same government that killed my people, the same government that allowed men like Silas Cutter to... Stop. He took her face in his hands. Listen to me. They are not taking our son. I don't care what that letter says. I don't care who signed it. Samuel is ours, and no one is taking him. How can you be so sure? Because I'll die before I let it happen. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. What do we do? She asked. We fight, like we've always fought. He took the letter from her hands. And the first thing we do is find out who's behind this. It didn't take long to find out. Cole Cutter, the youngest brother. The quiet one who had watched and waited while his brothers did the dirty work. He'd survived the fight at the ranch, disappeared into the wilderness. And now, months later, he'd found another way to hurt them. He cannot do this, Ayasha said when they learned the truth. He has no standing, no legal right. He doesn't need standing, he just needs friends in the right places. Jacob was pacing, hands clenched at his sides. Bribed officials, corrupt judges, that's how men like him operate. Then we find better friends. Where who? Ayasha thought. Thought about everyone they knew, everyone who had helped them, everyone who had stood by them when no one else would. Martha, she said. Martha knows everyone. Martha can't fight the territorial government. No, but she knows people who can. Martha did know people. Senators, businessmen. A retired judge who owed her a favor from 20 years back. She called in every debt pulled, every string wrote every letter. You didn't tell me you were this connected, Jacob said, watching her work. You didn't ask. Martha sealed another envelope. I've been in this territory longer than most of these officials have been alive. I've buried 2 husbands, raised 3 children, and survived things that would break most men. You think I did all that without making some powerful friends? I'm starting to think you could run for governor. I've been asked, twice. Turned them down both times. She smiled. Too much paperwork. The response came within 2 weeks. The original order was overturned. Cole Cutter was arrested for attempted fraud and bribery. The officials who had signed the letter were dismissed, and Samuel stayed exactly where he belonged. It's over, Jacob said, reading the final document. Really over. Ayasha held their son close, breathed in his sweet baby smell, let herself believe that they were safe. Thank you, she said to Martha. We owe you everything. You owe me nothing. That's what family does. Martha wiped her eyes. Now stop making me cry and let me hold my grandson. Samuel went to her willingly, smiled his gummy smile and grabbed at her fingers. He has your eyes, Martha said to Ayasha, and his father's stubbornness. That's not stubbornness, that's determination. Jacob laughed. That's what I said. Great minds. They spent the evening together, the 4 of them. Eating dinner, telling stories, watching Samuel discover that if he kicked his legs hard enough, he could knock things over. He's going to be trouble, Martha predicted. Good trouble, Ayasha said. The best kind. Winter came again, but this year it felt different. The cold didn't bite as hard. The snow didn't seem as deep. Maybe because Ayasha had a fire to come home to, a family to keep her warm. Samuel was 6 months old now, Big for his age, no surprise there. He could sit up on his own, grab at things, make sounds that almost sounded like words. He's trying to say da, Jacob insisted. He is trying to say ma. That was definitely a D sound. That was gas. You always say it's gas. Because it usually is. Their arguments were comfortable now, familiar, the kind of bickering that only people who truly loved each other could do. I want another one, Jacob said one night out of nowhere. Ayasha looked at him. Another what? Baby. She laughed. Samuel is not even crawling yet. I know. I'm thinking ahead. How many are you thinking? I don't know, 3, 4. He grinned. Enough to fill this house with noise and chaos. You want chaos? I want a family, a big one, the kind I always dreamed about when I was a kid. His voice softened. The kind I thought I'd never have after Sarah and Emma. Ayasha set down the shirt she'd been mending, moved to sit beside him. I want that too, she said. I have always wanted that. A house full of children, laughter, love. Then let's do it. Right now. Well, not right this second. Samuel's awake. He kissed her. But soon. When we're ready. I am ready now. Yeah. I have been ready my whole life. I just did not know it until I met you. He pulled her close, held her tight. I love you, Ayasha McAllister. I love you too, Jacob McAllister. Think Samuel will be okay with a sibling. He will have to be. He does not get a vote. Fair enough. They sat together watching their sons sleep, dreaming about the future they would build. Spring arrived early that year. The snow melted fast and the flowers bloomed faster. By April, the whole valley was alive with color and sound. Ayasha was in the garden when she felt it. A flutter, low in her belly. Like butterflies, but different. She froze, put her hand over her stomach, waited. There it was again. Jacob! He came running from the barn, fear in his eyes. What? What's wrong? Nothing is wrong. She grabbed his hand, pressed it to her belly. Wait! A moment passed, then another. Then Jacob's eyes went wide. Is that? Yes. Already. It seems our son will have company sooner than we thought. Jacob let out a whoop that startled the chickens. Picked Ayasha up, or tried to. She was too tall, so it was more of a lift, and spun her around. We're having another baby. We are having another baby. I have to tell Martha. I have to tell everyone. Maybe wait until we are sure. I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. He kissed her. This is the best day of my life. Again. You keep giving me best days. You make it easy. He ran off toward town, practically dancing. Ayasha watched him go, one hand on her belly, the other shading her eyes from the sun. 2 children. Maybe more after that. A house full of noise and chaos and love. Everything she had ever wanted. Samuel took his first steps on a Tuesday. He was 10 months old, and everyone said it was too early, but no one had told Samuel that. He pulled himself up on the edge of Jacob's chair, looked around like he was surveying his kingdom, and then just walked. 3 steps. 4, 5. Then he fell on his bottom and laughed. Did you see that? Jacob was on his feet, pointing. Did you see? I saw. He walked. I know. 5 whole steps. I counted. Jacob scooped Samuel up, tossed him in the air, caught him. Samuel shrieked with delight. You're a genius, Jacob told him. The smartest, strongest, most amazing baby in the whole territory. Do not give him a big head. Too late. He's my son. He's going to have a big head. Ayasha shook her head, but she was smiling. Her ridiculous husband, her brilliant son, her growing belly where another life was taking shape. This was happiness, she realized. Real happiness. The kind she'd given up on ever finding. The kind that had found her anyway. The second baby came in late autumn. A girl this time. Smaller than Samuel had been, but just as loud. "She has your lungs," Ayasha said to Jacob. "I thought Samuel had my lungs." "You have very powerful lungs. Both children inherited them." "Is that a compliment?" "It is an observation." They named her Sarah, after Jacob's first wife. After the woman who had loved him before Ayasha did. After the mother of the daughter he'd lost. "Are you sure?" Jacob asked when Ayasha suggested it. "It's not. It won't feel strange to you. She was part of your life, part of who you are. I do not want to erase that." Ayasha touched his face. "I want to honor it." Jacob's eyes filled with tears, the first time she'd seen him cry since Samuel's birth. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for letting me share your heart with her." Little Sarah had her father's gray eyes, her mother's stubborn chin, and a cry that could wake the dead. "2 babies," Martha said, helping with the newborn while Ayasha recovered. "You sure you want more? Ask me again in a year." "I'm asking now." Ayasha looked at Samuel toddling around the room on unsteady legs, looked at Sarah sleeping in Martha's arms, looked at Jacob who was watching all of them with an expression of wonder that still hadn't faded. "Yes," she said. "I want more. I want all of it. Even the chaos. Especially the chaos." Martha laughed. "You're braver than me." "No, I just finally learned that life is too short to be afraid." The years passed. Samuel grew taller than any other child in town. He had his mother's height and his father's quiet strength. He learned to ride before he was 3 to shoot, before he was 5 to read, before he was 6. Sarah grew fierce. She was smaller than her brother, but twice as loud. She followed him everywhere, demanded to be included in everything, and threw spectacular tantrums when she didn't get her way. "She has your temper," Jacob said. "She has your stubbornness." "I'm not stubborn. You are the most stubborn man I have ever met. I prefer determined." "You always do." A third child came, then a fourth. 2 more boys, David and Thomas, born 18 months apart. The house that had once felt too big was now bursting at the seams. "We need more room," Jacob said. "Then build more room." "I was hoping you'd say that." He added a wing, then another. The little cabin became a sprawling farmhouse full of noise and laughter and the thundering of children's feet. The town watched it happen, watched the family grow, watched Ayasha, once feared, once whispered about, become one of the most respected women in the territory. She taught the children at the school when the regular teacher was sick. She helped Martha run the store when business got too busy. She sat on the town council, the first woman to do so, and the first Native American. "You've come a long way," Martha said one afternoon watching Ayasha chair a meeting about water rights. "We have all come a long way. Some farther than others." Ayasha looked around the room, at the faces that had once feared her, at the people who now called her neighbor, friend, leader. "I used to think I did not belong anywhere," she said, "that I was too big, too different, too damaged. And now? Now I know that belonging is not about fitting in. It is about finding people who make room for you." She smiled. "You made room for me, Martha. You and Jacob, and this whole ridiculous town. You made room for yourself. We just watched." Samuel turned 18 on a crisp October morning. He was taller than his mother now, broader than his father. A man grown with his mother's dark eyes and his father's steady soul. "I want to go to college," he announced at breakfast. The table went silent. 4 sets of young eyes turned to their oldest brother. "College." Jacob set down his coffee. "Where?" "Back east. There's a school in Pennsylvania that accepts people like me." People like me. Half Cheyenne, half white. Belonging to both worlds and neither. Ayasha felt her heart clench. "You would be so far away." "I know, but I want to learn, Ma. I want to become a doctor, help people." He looked at her with those dark eyes, her eyes. "Like you helped people, like you helped this whole town." "A doctor." Jacob leaned back. "That's a big dream." "You always told me to dream big." "I did, didn't I?" A slow smile spread across Jacob's face. "Well then, I guess we'd better start saving." "You mean?" "I mean if my son wants to be a doctor, he's going to be the best damn doctor Pennsylvania's ever seen." Samuel grinned. That rare bright grin that reminded Ayasha so much of his father. "Thanks, Pa." "Don't thank me yet. You still have to get accepted." "I will. I'm the smartest kid in the territory, remember? You've been telling me that since I was born." "And giving him a big head," Ayasha murmured. "The biggest," Jacob agreed. The whole table laughed. Even little Thomas, who was only 4 and didn't understand the joke, but wanted to be included anyway. This, Ayasha thought, this was the life she'd fought for, bled for, nearly died for. It was worth every moment. The night before Samuel left for college, Ayasha found him standing on the porch, looking out at the mountains, the same mountains she'd crossed when she was running for her life. "You are thinking," she said, coming to stand beside him. "Just remembering." "Remembering what?" "The stories you told me. About your village, your parents, the life you had before." Ayasha was quiet for a moment. "I do not tell those stories often." "I know. That's why they matter." He turned to look at her. "I'm proud to be your son, Ma. Proud to be Cheyenne, no matter what anyone says." Her throat tightened. "Samuel, I know it's been hard for you. I know people still whisper sometimes, still look at you funny." His jaw set so like his father's. "But you never let it break you. You just kept going, kept building, kept loving." "That was not strength, that was stubbornness." "Same thing." She laughed through her tears. "Your father says that." "Where do you think I learned it?" She pulled him into a hug. Her son, her firstborn, the miracle she never thought she'd have. "Come home," she whispered. "When you are done learning, come home." "I will, Ma, I promise." "And write, every week. Every week. And eat properly, and sleep enough, and—" "Ma." He pulled back, smiling. "I'll be fine." "I know, I just—" She wiped her eyes. "I am not ready to let you go." "You're not letting me go. You're letting me grow." He kissed her forehead. "There's a difference." She watched him go back inside, tall and strong and ready to take on the world. Her son. Her heart. Jacob found her still standing there an hour later. "You okay?" "No." She leaned into him. "But I will be. He's going to do great things." "I know. And he'll come back," he promised. "I know that too." Jacob wrapped his arms around her. They stood together watching the stars wheel overhead. 20 years, he said softly. "Can you believe it's been 20 years? Some days it feels like 20 minutes. Other days it feels like a lifetime." A good lifetime. She thought about everything. The pain, the fear, the loss, the love. "The best lifetime," she said. "Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. They led me here." He turned her to face him. This man who had found her bleeding in his barn. Who had loved her when she didn't know how to be loved. Who had given her a family when she thought she'd lost everything. "I would do it all again," he said. "Every moment, every struggle, every sleepless night with crying babies. Even the time Thomas put a frog in your boot. Even that." He smiled. "Well, maybe not that specific moment. But everything else. I love you, Jacob McAllister." "I know." Say it back. "I love you, Ayasha McAllister. First woman I ever saw who could pin me against a wall with one hand. First woman who ever made me want to live again." He kissed her. "Last woman I'll ever love." The mountains stood silent around them. The stars burned bright overhead. And somewhere inside their children slept dreaming of futures that were only possible because two broken people had chosen to heal each other. 20 years ago, Ayasha had stumbled into a stranger's barn ready to die. Now she stood in her own home surrounded by love, watching her children grow, building a legacy that would outlast them all. She had been born into one family and lost them. She had built another family and kept them. That was her story. That was her truth. And it was a truth worth telling, a truth worth remembering, because it proved that no matter how broken you are, no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how much the world tries to destroy you, love can still find you. Love can still save you. Love can still make you whole. The giant woman and the lonely rancher. The impossible love that built an empire. The family that proved everyone wrong. This was their story. And it was only the beginning. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end. This story was written for all of you who believe in second chances, who know that love doesn't care about size or shape, or where you come from. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to my channel and share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to find your home. Leave a comment and tell me what part of Jacob and Ayasha's story moved you the most. I read every single one. Until next time, my dear audience of Wild West storytelling, I love you all. Stay safe, stay hopeful, and never stop believing in love.